Hello, my name is Ajai, Ajai Raj, and I don't know if you're coming to this through one of my social channels, then you know that I'm a comic, I'm a writer, a musician, none of which is really pertinent except by way of introduction to what I'm doing here. It'll probably become pertinent later on because it all is, but what I'm talking about today is, and with this channel is depression. I have depression. I suffer from it, to use the common language that you see everywhere. And I don't know. I think it's important to talk about. It's the central fact of my life, whether I want it to be or not. I don't mean that it completely defines and delimits me. That's something I'll probably get to at some point as well. But just as far as being a reality that I contend with, and that I think something like 1 in 5 Americans contends with, a lot of people. So it's there, and I think it's important to talk about. I don't think people talk about it enough. Something happens, like a celebrity kills themselves, and then it's in the news, and then people are posting about it on social media, and then everyone's on board, right? For like, what, 2-3 days, a week, tops. Everyone's like, depression, if you have depression, talk to somebody, we care about you so much, but then poof, it just evaporates after a second, and then it's like, oh, I guess we're gonna go back to, we're gonna just pretend to be happy all the time again? Okay, that's cool. It's not cool. It's not. It's devastating. It's bad for everybody, because 1/5 of us, the vast majority of that fifth, I feel, are walking around pretending that it's not happening, or trying to put on the cheery face, you know, play the game like we do. That's a big part of what society, social interaction, day-to-day living is, right? And it's there's a lot to talk about, and I want to stay focused, so I've got like bullet points here. Disclaimer, that's the next one. I should say, like, I'm a guy talking about depression. That's what I'm doing here. I'm talking about my experience. I'm going to talk about, you know, any insights that I have on the different aspects of depression as they've manifested in my life. But I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert in any kind of academic or clinical sense. I don't, you know, I've read what I've read. I'm going to convey, when it's relevant, what I've read. Again, with the disclaimer, when I do say something, I'll try to cite my source. For instance, I do have the 1 in 5 figure came from this book that I've just started to read called The Mindful Way Through Depression. It's got a few authors. Not recommending it yet. I've just started to read it. But yeah, I think Andrew Weil is quoted on the cover. He's a doctor. I don't know much about him, again. But it's 15 to 20%. Not the point right now. The point being that, yeah, I'm going to talk about my experience. I'm going to talk about my whatever insights I have, whatever I think about it, about whatever aspect of depression I'm talking about. But it's just that. It's my experience. Take from it what is relevant to you, what is helpful to you. Don't take anything I say. I'm not going to try to be too prescriptive and say you should do this or you shouldn't do that or anything like that. But, you know, if I do make statements like that, I'm talking, so I'm going to say things that are going to come across a certain way, whether I'm aware of it or not at the time. And just, you know, don't take everything with a grain of salt, is what I'm saying. A grain of salt, or rather, do your own research, or check what I'm saying about my experience against what you know about your experience. It's one of the many things that makes depression so hard to get a hold on is it's like everything else. It's individual. It's deeply wound up with your own experience and with your life story, the stories that you tell yourself. And there's patterns to it, which is why we can talk about a thing called depression, because there's patterns that manifest in ways that are consistent across I could say most cases, right? But ultimately, for the most important purpose, why I'm doing this is to in the hopes that it'll be helpful to you as an individual, and to me. This is the selfish component that I learn by talking through things, and I often find that when I'm talking to somebody about depression, about anything, but this is for these purposes about depression, that when I'm articulating it, I hear myself saying things that I wasn't aware of thinking, or I have an insight that I wasn't aware of having. And it's something that helps me, and I think I'm hoping will help you too, or someone that you know, if you don't yourself suffer from depression. Yeah, so I think that's pretty good as far as disclaimers go. I'm not a doctor. I'm not saying see a doctor. I'm not saying don't see a doctor. I'm not saying take medicine. I'm not saying don't take medicine. None of that. I'm just talking about my experience, and I'm just hoping it's going to be helpful. Okay, I've been on that for like 3 minutes, so I think that's clear. Where to start? Again, it's a huge topic, and I can only start with my own experience. And I will say that I'm to that end. I just turned 29 yesterday. Thank you. It was all me. I did it. But I mean, you know how it is. You have a Facebook account. I had a lot of people wishing me a happy birthday, texting me, writing on my wall, people that, especially, it's Facebook, so people that know me from a distance, people that, like I said, I'm a comedian, so I post videos online, right? I post the shows that I'm doing. I'm a writer, so I post articles that I've published. I do all the self-promotion that we are supposed to do as creators and whatever artists in this era that we live in. And so you know that we form skewed impressions. So we want to generate a perception of success, right? So that's what I do. I share what's going on, and people will say, "Oh, congratulations, you're doing this, you're doing that, good job," and it's good. And I'm not, again, depression. I'm not trying to discount my own accomplishments or anything like that. That's something I'll get to, I'm sure. But what I am saying is that yesterday I actually had, I felt worse than I have felt in a very long time yesterday. It's for a lot of different reasons, but I felt lower than I've felt since the last great personal tragedy that I had to contend with. I felt so low. Just what triggered it was I'm also a voice actor. I went on a voice acting audition, and because I haven't, I've been sort of intermittently employed doing freelance work. I don't have a structured employment situation. There's some other things going on in my personal life, and depression itself has been. Insomnia is one of the things that I deal with, or rather, I can't sleep at night, but hey, I can stay up all night and sleep during the day when I'm supposed to be doing stuff. That's not a problem. That's great. And I'm not eating right, all this. So, like, it's messing with my body, right? And so I had this audition to go to, and I woke up too late. Instead of, being really on top of it, if I was really on top of it, I would have gotten up at a reasonable hour. I would have had a good hearty breakfast or lunch or whatever it was at 4, but my whole time and internal clock all messed up because of depression. But so instead of getting there half an hour early, leaving a half an hour before I need to leave, just to make sure that I'm there on time, warming up my voice, getting in the right headspace to like look at the script and get into it and do the best I can. Instead, I got there, I left on time, which is late, and I So got there just, either right on time or a couple of minutes late, which for either way, it's late because it's not in advance, right? And as a result, I was frazzled. I took the subway there. I'm in New York, so I took the subway, and the subway got stalled. I got stuck for a good 10 or 15 minutes as I'm already like on edge, and so I arrived at the audition frazzled and not in my best state, and I didn't do a good job. I felt like I botched it, so I walked out of that thing feeling really miserable. And again, it's my birthday. I turned 29. I'm a year short of 30. I'm not exactly where I want to be. I mean, who is? But this is I think pertinent to depression too. I have a list of in the book that I showed you. There was a list actually of compiled things that depressed people say to those. I'll read some of those now actually because this is pertinent. Let me find it. Things that depressed people say to themselves. Way far ahead. Automatic thoughts. That's what it is. Automatic thoughts of people currently depressed. One of them is a lot of these are pertinent, but the first one I'm not where I want to be. Where is it? Nothing feels good anymore. I'm so disappointed in myself. Jesus Christ. Take your pick, really. There's one. Yeah, walking out of this audition. I'm so disappointed in myself on the way to the audition because I already knew, like, oh, well, I fucked this up. I'm not going... I don't know if I've sworn yet in this video. I'm going to try not to because I want to connect with as many people, so I'm going to try to avoid talking about politics. I'm going to try to avoid swearing. So, if it comes out or if I feel very forcefully about it, I'm saying I will, but... I'm so disappointed in myself. Let's just fucking go down the list. Jesus. Okay. Those all stay in because that's me. I'm gonna try. But that's my vernacular. So, I feel like I'm up against the world. I'm no good. Why can't I ever succeed? No one understands me. I've let people down. I don't think I can go on. I wish I were a better person. I'm so weak. My life's not going the way I want it to. I'm so disappointed in myself. Nothing feels good anymore. I can't stand this anymore. I can't get started. What's wrong with me? I wish I were somewhere else. I can't get things together. I hate myself. I'm worthless. I wish I could just disappear. What's the matter with me? I'm a loser. My life is a mess. I'm a failure. I'll never make it. I feel so helpless. Something has to change. There must be something wrong with me. My future is bleak. It's just not worth it. I can't finish anything. This is from an Automatic Thoughts questionnaire, copyright 1980 by Philip C. Kendall and Stephen D. Holland, reprinted by permission in The Mindful Way Through Depression. Where was I? My point being that yesterday, all of that was happening, and it was happening in the context of, like, I turned 29, and I just felt like, what am I doing? I think I talked to my family yesterday. They could tell I was like, I did break down on the train. I was really just broken, and just feeling like, what? I've messed it up. I've messed up my entire life. I've just wasted it. I've ruined it. Just feeling all of that. And, on a birthday, on a day when everyone else is, congratulating me and trying to make me feel good, which, I very much appreciated, but in the depth of it, that stings too, because you feel that disconnect. You feel like, oh, everyone thinks I'm supposed to be so happy. There's people who look up to me, people who admire or respect what I do. And that sucks. But where was I going with this? That's just, I guess, the context. And I'll try to keep this. I'm already coming up on 15 minutes. It's my first video. So I'll try to keep this under 20 minutes. So I want people that actually want to watch it. But between yesterday and today, it's night and day. And I don't know, again, I'm not an expert. I don't know from bipolar and dysthymia is like low level constant depression, which may be more what I have, but I do have these like reversals. Without going into too much detail, some things that seemed really bleak yesterday, different things did turn around today. Opportunities that I wasn't expecting did present themselves today, and things turn around, and so much of what I was experiencing wasn't. It was emotions, and it was my reactions to those emotions, and it was stories that I was telling myself, and that's what it comes down to for your individual self, is like all these ways that like, oh, I've let myself down, or I've let whoever down, I've failed at life, whatever that means. How do you fail? I watched, I don't want to give away too much, I saw, because you might be going to see him, I saw Louis C.K. last week, and he's talking about people go, oh, what should I do with my life? And this thing was like, hey, just you eat. I'm not trying to do the bit. I'm not trying to ruin it for you. Watch it, enjoy it. I'm sure it's going to be on a special at some point. But yeah, I mean, how do you fail at life? How do you fail at life? If you're alive, I mean, this is not a success series of videos. I do watch some of those things, and I'm an ambitious person. I want to succeed at a lot of different things. But depression is the central thing in my life. It's central to my experience, and it's not about success or failure with depression. Living with it and retaining some kind of optimism, or just getting through a day, being you is success. Just being alive still is success where depression is concerned. So I guess the next thing that I wanted to say is, because among the other things I've been dealing with is dealing with people close to me, at least geographically, people in my life, people that I can't avoid without at least being conscious of avoiding. I'm not going to say much more than that. But I came across a meme, and they're cheesy, whatever, but sometimes you see a quote or something that really does just go like, get right to the heart of the matter, right? And this, it said, I made it the background on my phone, that's how much of a cornball I am. Your value does not decrease based on someone else's inability to see your worth. And for me, that really did hit home, because especially if you're depressed, you're prone to tell yourself all sorts of things. Oh, I get really vicious with my language. Like I tell myself I'm a piece of shit all the time. And that's a really bad, and and another thing that I read about in this and I've experienced is that you tend to lash out too. I mean, irritability and anger are aspects of depression. It's not all Eeyore mopey kind of stuff. You can get angry, and especially if someone like pushes your buttons, you can lash out. So I did lash out, and I've called other people that a piece of shit, and that's part of it. And but the point being that there's so much ignorance around depression. That's why I'm making this video. This is the whole point, I guess, especially this first one, but of what I'm doing this for, is that there's such a big gap. There's the academic literature, there's clinicians and what they know, and then there's all of us, what, 15 to 20% of the population walking around just with this weight, whatever it is, however it manifests for us, this sadness, this bleakness, this despair. Not really able, I can talk about it with my friends, but the people that don't experience it, there's only so much that they can understand or process, and especially when it's not, because the really crippling thing about it is that it can be so arbitrary, that it can come out of nowhere, that it's not sadness connected to a cause. It's just, oh, I guess I'm just going to feel miserable today, or I guess this is just happening now, like out of nowhere, for no reason, when I have every reason to be grateful, or to be happy, or to enjoy the company that I'm in, or enjoy the activity that I'm doing, or just enjoy the simple sensation of being alive. And I think that's what this book is about. This mindful way stuff is about connecting through meditation, connecting to your body. I'm going to be going through it, and I guess as I read it and whatever I glean from it, I'll share in these videos. yeah, I know this is long. Maybe maybe you lost interest at some point. Maybe not. I don't know. What does it matter? It's arbitrary. When I'm recording something for network TV, I don't have a 22-minute limit. I'm just gonna have faith in what I'm doing and in your attention span, and come to these videos as you will. Take what you need, and uh, go in peace. Go with God, so to speak. I don't mean that in a religious way, but be connected. It's fucking cheesy. The swearing thing again. I will try not to swear. That's what I'll say. I will not excessively. Does it matter? This is for adults. Are there kids watching this that are like, maybe? I don't know. I was depressed as a child, but I also, I guess, at a certain point, I learned to enjoy swearing, and it was quite liberating. So maybe I'm not focused on the right thing. I don't know. I was gonna. So I guess what's the takeaway? What was the quote again? Someone else's inability to see your value doesn't diminish your value, right? That was the idea, and I think that's really important to remember, especially if you suffer from depression, because then you're already constantly undermining your own value. You're constantly hurting yourself. You are hurting yourself in these invisible ways. You've got, especially, I mean, there's the initial depression, and then there's the behaviors and habits of mind that you develop as a consequence of depression. Kind of self-flagellation, so to speak, or just, hurting yourself. It's not, maybe not physical cutting and that kind of thing. That's obviously something that happens. But there's a lot of very subtle ways that you can cut yourself. And ways that people who are ignorant, this is the other thing, that's the other main point, I guess, is that people are ignorant of it, right? This is what I'm talking about, is people don't know. People that don't experience it. Sometimes maybe people that are experiencing it and don't know they're experiencing it themselves, but people are ignorant. And people give themselves every benefit of the doubt. And they give everyone else none. That's obviously a very broad generalization. I'm not saying, but that's the tendency. That's the tendency of our minds, is to do that. And so what that applies to you, if you have depression and people around you are misreading your behavior as a consequence of depression. Like, maybe you slept in and were late to work, and then your boss thinks like, oh, this is a bad employee, he doesn't take his job seriously, or I was trying to think of another. I was going to just use a woman as an example for gender equality purposes, but just the same thing. She was late to work because she doesn't care about the job, or she didn't come to my party because she didn't care about me, or he's quiet, he must be aloof and stuck up. I think these things can very much compound because people form an inaccurate perception of your character based on how you behave as a consequence of depression. And then you yourself, if you're like me, you are sensitive to how you think people are perceiving you. And by the way, may not even be the case. People might not even be thinking anything about you. You just don't know. But the point being that if someone else does form, like if there's people that think that I am aloof, or that I don't care, or I'm a bad employee, or whatever they want to ascribe to me, to my character, that is coming from their ignorance of what depression is and how it affects me and what I'm dealing with, that doesn't affect me. That doesn't affect my value. It doesn't affect my character. It doesn't affect your character. So that's, I guess, what I wanted to say with this first video, because that's where my mind is at, and I'm telling myself that as much as I'm telling you, and that's what this whole thing is. I was gonna play a song because I think I'm a musician. I don't play out much anymore, and frankly, like, whatever. I don't need to get into that. But I think a lot of my songs are really coming from a place of dealing with depression. I think that's where they come from. So I was just gonna play one again. Look, if you want to skip the song, that's fine. It's no skin off of my nose. That's a weird expression, I always thought. But I'm just going to play it. If you've gotten what you need, you know, Godspeed, salute, go in peace, be happy. If you want to stick around and listen, great. I think there's something there. I think this might write my songs. They have a healing effect for me. And I think they can do that for other people, and I think that's why they exist. Before we get to concerns of the marketplace in this. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna sign out. Yeah, just other people's perceptions of you can't diminish you. They can't. And depression is real, and it sucks, and people don't understand it at all. No one understands it, really. I mean, you know, the understanding isn't integrated into our society, I should say. There's lots of people walking around that do understand it, not to diminish academics, not to diminish clinicians. There are people that do understand it, but I think it's hard to get that understanding to those of us who are in the trenches, or to convey. We're not aware that people do think about it and do get it and do care. So you should care about it in yourself. I'm making the attempt to care about it in me, and I care about it, if only in the abstract. Like, it's for everyone's benefit that we get this, that we understand this, and that we integrate that understanding actively into the way we live our lives and the way we build our society. Like, what are we doing? 1/5 of us are walking around just miserable, and every once in a while, someone like Robin Williams kills themselves. Terrible tragedy. Not, I mean, obviously, but then what? Then it's a flash in the pan. Everyone for 3 days cares about depression, and then it goes back to, oh, we're not going to talk about that. It's awkward and it's weird, and I don't know how to handle it. And I would rather, I'm worried about this other thing. I don't know. I'm repeating myself at this point. I'm going to play this song, and then that'll be that. And hey, thanks for watching, and hope this helps. Oh, one quick thing. I did create an email address to be associated with this channel. You'll notice the channel is called AjaiIsDepressed. So why not? I mean, that's funny to me, and it's true. It's not wrong. But you know what? Let's own it. Let's own that and make it into a force for good. Me? Okay. I'm talking to myself. And you. So, I don't know, this is literally the first time that I've ever done this, and it just seemed to make sense to, at some point, maybe I'll start taking questions or suggestions, or maybe I'll get hate mail. I don't know. If you're going to send me hate mail in advance, let me just say, like, you know, but that's premature, and, again, I've really done a horrible job of not swearing or being obscene in any way, but it's my nature, man. I gotta be me. This is it. This is who I am. So that's AjaiIsDepressed@gmail.com. If you want to send me some mail, I don't have a protocol in place. I've got this. This is happening. This is what I have. And I'm going to now play a song, and that's going to be that. Poison and the promise in your mind, the tyrant and the treasure side by side, the longing and the loss you hold inside will bleed your sacred heart with 10,000 cuts by night. May you splatter holy water by the altar in the winter, and all that's faucet lies within you bring. Does your blood boil with conviction at an ancient superstition? Make choirs of angels sing you wide awake. It's a fragment, really, but what isn't, right? Ultimately. But whatever, that's that. Again, if you want to email me, AjaiIsDepressed@gmail.com. And yeah, I'll be back, and we'll figure this out as we go along. So, thank you.